We are Group 5 of PIM MBA Oman batch. Today we are going to have a discussion with our resource person, Mr. Sarath Bandara. He is the principal architect and his own business, CPEC Architectural and Construction Consultancy. So today we are going to have a discussion as part of our leadership and business development model subject today.
My hometown is Ruwanwella. I studied in Ruwanwella Rajasinghe Madhya Vidyalaya Central College up to O level. Then from Rajasinghe Central College, I entered to the Panipitiya Dharampala Vidyalaya. I did my A level in Panipitiya Dharampala Vidyalaya, and then I entered to University of Moratuwa in 1976 and passed out in 1981. We started working in a private company called Development Devaco, Development Lanka, I remember. And 1985 I came to Oman and joined a private company called Oman Designers. And in 1992 I joined Covey and Partners, where I started having a long career as an architect.
The purpose of this interview is to study a successful business leader, to ascertain how he achieves success in his business by dealing strategically with issues like employee market information, barrier to enter, etc., in order to capitalize prospect or potential opportunity and market attractiveness for developing a business. Today we are going to discuss with Mr. H.M.S.H. Bandar. He is an architect by profession, having 36 years of experience, including 31-year experience in Oman. Mr. Bandar had been working with world-class consultancy for 23 years, where he grew up to the position of head of architecture. Then he established his own consultancy firm. It's called CPEC, Centerpoint Engineering Consultancy, specialized in architectural and engineering consultancy. They have been operating in Oman successfully for many years now. And Mr. Bandar also an active member and senior advisor for various community activity in Sri Lankan community in Oman, to helping enhance the well-being of the Sri Lankan community. First, we would like to thank Mr. Bandar for giving us this opportunity and your valuable time spent with us. The first question I would like to ask: you was an eminent profession with fixed earning capacity for over 20 years. Business always involve risk, and especially in the Middle East. So how you will get the idea of starting your own business?
Yeah, thank you very much. I have been in Oman since 1985, and when I came to Oman, I joined a local company called Oman Designers, 1985, and until 1992 I worked for that company, and then I joined Covey and Partners in 1992. So since 1992 until 2013 I worked for Covey. And when I resigned from Covey, I was the chief architect. For almost 4 years, I was the chief architect in Covey. So what triggered for me to start business actually came from the experience that I got from Covey. I worked for Covey almost 21, 22 years.
Yes.
And during that period, I dealt with so many clients, private clients, government institution. So I had a very good contact with people, my clients, and my intention always is to do the best service for the client. So that was the service. That was the.
Thank you. Then, do you feel that owning your own business has been worth the conflict that you had to deal with? I mean, having your own business always better than serving for the others. What do you feel about that?
You serve for the others also, having your own business. So
Okay.
you can do by working for somebody else, or doing your own business, you serve for the people.
Okay.
You serve the employees and you take care of them, and then you take care of your client and community. Yes, true. So
Thank you. Then how do you spot the opportunity or develop the idea of your own business? Because which time you identify this is the, how do you?
yeah, that was as I told you before. When I have been working for COVID for such a long period, and towards the end I realized that it's my towards the end of my career. I'm a quite matured person now. So I thought that I have very good contact with the client here, client organization, and I had the confidence, I have the capability. So I thought that this is the right time for me to try out on my own and do something which give a better satisfaction for me. When you work for a company and when you do on your own, there's a big difference.
Exactly.
So you have a freedom, you have you can try and experiment things, so which you can't do when you work for a company. So that was that point I realized I have the capacity, I have the ability, I have the contact. That's the main thing in Oman when you work. You need to have client contacts, which I had. So I thought yes. So contact and their trust. You had that belief. So that is the right time I thought that to start. Yeah.
So I'd like to know that when you are starting a business, the marketing skill is something really important. If you were a good marketer at that time, it would have been much better. Or
see, in our business, we are not a big company. My company is a small setup, and what I believe is that is something you have to gain through your work. We didn't do marketing because I had, as I told you before, that good contact with client, good relationship. So through that you start doing business. When you deliver your service in the way that the client expect, that actually is a marketing.
it is marketing.
It is marketing. You don't need to go out and market your services here. In this market, this is not a big market, small market. And the clientele also not very big. There are limited clients, and it's actually through your better service. As long as you do a better service, the quality and the timely delivery is the most important two things in our business. The quality of the product, the service, we are actually giving service, and the timely delivery. If you satisfy these two, it goes from mouth to mouth. Who has designed your building, who did this project, and the same client says, yes, you go to CPAC or any other consultant who is doing well. So I think we didn't do really, frankly tell you that we didn't do marketing much. We didn't do marketing much. We don't do that. But we actually gain the market, we got the market value through market share, through our the performance.
The trusted performance, the keeping the word as it is. Even we saw in your website that become the most trusted advisor.
Yeah,
to the
for
client.
example,
So,
if I can tell you now in Dukum, it's a recently started, the developed area, Dukum, and we are one of the leading consultants in Dukum because we started with one project where we actually did it successfully, and then the Zizard, the authority for Dukum, actually referred the client, he refers us.
Whoever the new investors
to the client, investors, they approach one by one. So it's through
how you handle the existing customers, that itself works
exactly.
Thanks. Thank you very much. And Mr. Vandara, normally when you start a business, or like within the business, or when you start a business, there are goals. Like over the period of 5 years, 10 years, so like after starting I will achieve this level. Are you in that level? Are you surpassed that level or below that level?
I would say it is like it's a fluctuating market here. I started in 2013, almost 5 years back, and initially it was a bit tough. You start any business, initially it is tough. Exactly, and especially in Oman, the market is very competitive. Unlike in Sri Lanka, here there are no body to govern our fees, architects or engineers' fees. So people can quote any fee, right? So there are a lot of consultants here. I heard that nearly about 200 companies here, consultancy firm working. You don't believe that. So there's a tough competition. So initially it was a bit tough, but I had few clients who were known to me. Yeah. So I started with those projects, and then we developed. The second year it was good. I would say that I achieved better than I expected. The last year was a bit slow down, but this year we are catching up.
Thanks, Ismail. You are head of architect in a world-class reputed multinational company. Yes. So it was a very comfort zone for you. So, and with a very comfortable living and earning capacity. So, what triggered you exactly to come into this hot water? Like, it's a competition with tough companies, the multinationals, and it's always challenging than leaving a comfort zone. So,
as I told you before, I think I became the chief architect of COVI at the end, and then I realized that's the maximum I can go. I can't. I was towards the end of my career, so I thought, you can't, be higher than that, even if I continued in that position or in COVI. So I realized even my financial commitments were also over at that time. So I was ready to take a risk and the challenge. And then I wanted to actually, the main thing, as I told you before, the satisfaction that you gain by, having your own company. See, it's tough. The responsibilities are much bigger than when you work for a company, you are under, certain, control environment, and your responsibilities are shared. But in this case, it's quite high. But I took that challenge, I had a confidence. That is the main thing. You need to have your confidence to start anything. That positive approach, confidence, and you believe yourself. That is what you actually need. So I had that. Maybe over the years I worked, that experience, made me to take that decision. Yes.
Thank you very much, Chandana. Mr. Bandara, I would like to continue Chandana's question little further. Actually, wanted to ask one more point on the same question. The moment you decided to move from your comfortable zone to this entrepreneurial experience, so what was the feedback you got from your closed ones, your family and your relations, or maybe your higher level, advisors? What sort of advice you got not to do, or was it positive, or was it negative, or is it a mixed one? I would like to know.
I would say it's both. I got feedback from some positive feedback, and some said that it is a very good decision. Those who have worked with me closely, they know my capacity, the way I work. So they actually said it is a good decision. But of course, always the family always think not in the negative way, but they don't like to take a risk. They don't want me to take a risk. So they had some reservation about why do you change now? You are only, maybe you will work only for a few years, and why don't work for the same company and then retire and go? But then I managed to convince somehow. I had the confidence, so I said, don't worry, I will somehow make it successful. So yes, from some of my friends also, I got negative feedback. So why do you change? It is a risk, and the market is not that good. So this is not the right time to start. So some were saying you would have started much earlier when the market was really good. And I of course agree to that to a certain extent, but I think took the decision at the right time.
Thank you very much. So my next question is, in contemporary business world, we can see intense competition in everywhere, in any industry. So I would like to ask you, how do you differentiate your product, the service, from your competitors? So you have any particular strategy? In the discussion you earlier mentioned, the deliver on time, the maintain the quality. So other than that,
that is the most important.
Do you have any?
No, those are the two main factors: the quality and the timely delivery. And we try to achieve those two So that is the real your market strategy to compete the market. You deliver the project on time and you deliver a good service to the client. So the client thinks twice when for the next project, and what do I do? Even with a little bit higher fee, go for a consultant who is doing a better service, because the client he used to do many projects. So the repeated projects, we are working for repeated projects. We are not the first project that we gain, then we work for repeated project. So the strategy would be to better service and satisfy the client, 100% full satisfaction, and then the timely delivery.
Okay, thank you. Pretty much good actually. So, Mr. Bandar, my next question would be, we have seen many successful business leaders in the world. So they are telling, everybody has their own, they would say, okay, this is the critical factor in their success. So if I ask you, what was the critical factor for your success? Was it your skills, or was it your attitude, the positive can-do attitude, or your knowledge? If you share with us what was the main critical factor out of this.
It's again mixed, but I would say in in our sector it is attitude, mainly these clients, because when we work as a team, we have different professionals, different the people who are qualified in each area. We have architects, engineers, so and quantity surveyors, and the full team. So we have capable technically qualified team. But what actually what is to be the important thing that you need to consider is the attitude towards the client. Sometimes they change the requirement in the middle of the project, but we don't react negatively, we react positively. So it's the attitude, the client look for consultants with whom they can work comfortably. So that's, I think, I consider it as the most critical, the important factor. As long as you have the right team to deliver the project technically, the sound project. So I consider that as as a leading business, a leading model, that you need to consider that attitude.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Bandar. So as you believe, the attitude is the most critical factor, right, for the success. So my next question will be, what is the main source of getting the right person for your team and getting, there are multiple sources, through internet, maybe through your personal contacts. So,
and we actually try to get through contacts, because even if you advertise and get people, you can't really, you might succeed, you might not. So more reliable, and since we are not having that much recruitment, of course it is a challenge. I had a lot of difficulty in the past getting right people, but we get through contacts, known people, or get recommendation from someone who we can trust, the right recommendation, and then we interview them. We follow the same procedures, recruiting procedures, but we get through contacts.
Okay, well enough. Thank you very much, Mr. Bandar. So over to my colleague, Nihas.
Thank you, Chamara. So let me continue with Chamara's question. As you answered for the last question that you are getting the people on board through the contacts because of the reliability and various reasons you have mentioned. So I would like to continue with the same question. What sort of attributes are you looking for while searching human capital in your organization, whether the personal attitudes or the characteristics or the skills and experience or something else?
We consider all what you said, but mainly we are looking for technically sound people. So the technical and the capabilities, high skills, and then of course we see the attitude also. When we interview, we can judge them, what sort of character they have, they are. So it's mixed. What you said is exactly all the factors we consider, because when we work as a team, we need to recruit the guy who can work with the team, with the team approach and the team working, could be a good member of the team. That's what we look for. So it's all these matters.
Thank you. So let us move to the next question. As we know, business is all about achieving goals by effectively utilizing and directing the human and other physical resources. So in your opinion, which is the most challenging resource to handle, and why is that?
I think in my business, the most important thing is the how to get the maximum out of the staff resources, human resources. Because funding, of course, I have no difficulty in, because see, in my business, my thinking is always to grow very slow. Don't go with,
Huge expansions now.
exactly, you don't go for bigger projects which I can't handle now. So you grow slow. I started with only with me. I didn't have anyone. Then after 3-4 months, I had another staff joining. So now after 5 years, I have 12 now. So you can see the progress. So what I believe is that when you actually develop your business, what is important is to get the maximum from the staff. You don't need to have idle staff. I'm not saying that you should exploit them, but get the maximum as much as possible from them effectively, which actually benefit both parties, for the company, for them as well.
Okay, great. So as you believe that the human resource is the most important to look for, I would like to ask you, what is the best way to manage that human resource? That means, are you going to define very well job description and set of rules, or are you going to empower them and give them freedom and with less supervision?
I am always for giving them freedom and less supervision, and let them all also feel ownership of the project or the company. See, they have their ownership feeling. When you work for a company and when you enforce the rules and regulations, people are trying to become like machines. You come at the right time and work 8 hours or 9 hours, go at 5:30, do whatever you are given. Don't look for any other out of their area. So that is not my policy. I always give the freedom to the staff, and then let them also feel like their own company, their own projects that they are working on. So that's ownership is very important, ownership feeling.
Thank you very much for your all answers. Let me pass to my colleague for other questions.
Mr. Bandara, you said you started this consultancy firm in 2013. So after 5 years, if you think what you will do differently if you were to start all over again?
I think I'm happy with the way I started and the way I'm doing, and I don't see any difference. If I have to start today, I would have started in the same way because I have succeeded.
So you're on the right track actually.
Yeah, I'm on the right track. As I told you, in the way of working is that I work slow. The progress, I grow slow. Don't go for any steady growth. So which I did at that time. I think it is the right decision, right? And because then you can face your challenges easily, rather than when you work in a big way, it's difficult to face your challenges. This way I was able to absorb the difficulties, right, without having any financial difficulties, financial burden on me. At the same time, no pressure from the client as well. So start in a smooth way and grow. And I would have done in the same way, even if I had to start now.
As a high-end professional, and now it's in the business community, the leading businessman. What are the most important lessons you have learned in regard to business and the people?
Yeah, my advice is that to anyone who wants to start business, start in a small way. Start steadily and smoothly you grow. You have to identify your core business. See, in our area, the core business is architecture and engineering. So the other services are subsidiary, like interior design, landscaping, fire engineering. So starting business, those areas are risky because there's not much scope. But the core business, yes, there are opportunities. So in my area, in the architectural or engineering field, my advice is to start with the core business and start in the slow phase smoothly and build up the confidence in your client. The client got to believe you that you are doing a better service. So that can be only achieved when we work in a slow phase. When you work I had opportunity to get more work. I had people come and ask me, the client, can you take up this project? I know my capacity. If I take that project, I won't be able to perform all in the right way. I can't deliver, I can't do a good service. So I say, sorry, I can't take up now. Yes, in future, when I'm in a situation, I will take it up. So you don't have to be greedy, that's another thing. When you do business, you don't try to achieve 100% at the first year. So first year you achieve only maybe 25-30%, and every year you grow little by little. So that is my advice to anyone, any younger persons who is starting business, that start slowly and steadily and smoothly, grow your business and develop your business and build up your confidence within your client organizations, and that's the main thing.
Always business is a risk. Somebody may come up, there may be somebody rising up very soon with huge investments and all. Even Apple can be challenged one day. So as you oversee, what are the bigger risks you have today?
Of course, there are already. The government has, there's a restriction on visa issuing. So that's the biggest. That's a bigger risk now because when our projects, we need to get staff to perform. I have already 2 projects where we are starting construction, and I need site engineers, for example. So I need to recruit 2 site engineers, and but I'm not able to get clearances because of the government restrictions. So I have already undertaken the project, but I have no engineers. So I'm trying to get it. There's a difficulty in getting engineers. So that's one area, the risk area. And on the other hand, the challenge or the risk situation is a fee that we are quoting. That's going down because of the high competition in the market. So we won't be able to give the same service if we have to maintain that quality, because that has a price. The better quality has a price, and timely delivery also has a price. So that is another risk area, that the fee level.
Thank you very much, Chandana. So, Mr. Bandara, this will be my last question I would like to ask you. So, as a business person, you have to envision the future actually. So you have to foresee the future. What are the future opportunities you will have, and what sort of threats you might get from the the environment. So have you identified any opportunities in your business, or what sort of threats you have already identified, and what sort of actions that you have taken to face those threats, or in other terms the challenges? What is your opinion on that?
In my business, I think I mentioned that before, there are 2 main challenges. One is the highly competitive market, because we can't survive in this with this competition. So our strategy to tackle that is to work for selective clients. We don't go for new client. Of course, I'm not saying we are not going, but we are very selective in selecting client, choosing client. Because when you work for a known client, the fee doesn't matter. The client knows our fee level. We can even go for a little bit higher fee because the client knows our service. So it's easy to work with a known client than unknown client. So you limit your the clientele. You don't work for everyone. You are selective. That way you can eliminate the risk to a certain extent, right? And the other challenge is the the government regulation restrictions.
Always
increase
changing, right?
always changing is difficult, and
Comes with
it
the
takes
new,
time and it's really hectic. I'm facing a big challenge now. So that, of course, there are ways to tackle that. We outsource some of the work. I have a small setup in Sri Lanka, so they do the work from there, basically drafting work, production work. That's one way. And the staff has to work a little bit extra when we have project submission and all. So existing staff have to, and we'll compensate them. So that is another way of tackling that. But it's a challenge. These are the two challenges that we are facing right now. And the third challenge would be the client's expectation. Our clients expecting 100%, the maximum. They want the best, right? They want the Rolls-Royce at a Toyota price. So that's the another challenge. And they keep on changing their requirements once we started the project, and they're not ready to compensate us for that. So, but we can't at the same time fight with the client for that. You know, we have to tackle that. Those are the challenges.
In terms of opportunities, I mean, in Oman, we have seen they have renovated, they have newly opened the new airport, and they are building up free zones all over the country. So, with all these developments, what sort of opportunities you have seen actually?
I think we are not directly involved in those projects, but yeah, there are projects which are coming as a result of those
because
bigger
you
projects.
mentioned in Dukum you did one
Dukum
job,
area
and you
actually
got
one of the area. We
continued.
have almost been
Yeah.
3 or 4 projects now in Dukum. We did the Dukum the village, that's for the private client called Renaissance company. I don't know whether you have heard of that company. It's a logistic company, and accommodation, yes, accommodation for them, 16,000 people. They built a facility. We were the consultants for that. And then we are doing projects in tourism sector. As the tourism is developing in Oman, we are doing one hotel. This is the Novotel near the airport. This project is a 4-star hotel, and so yes, we have some benefit
Okay, you
from
have
that.
seen the opportunities, and
Yeah,
you are
opportunities,
capitalizing all
Yes,
these
yes, sure.
opportunities, right?
Yeah.
All right, pretty much good. Thank you very much, Mr. Bandara.
Thank you, Chamara. My next question is, change, innovation and continuous business development are much important to ensure survival and growth in any kind of business. Now, at your own business, when you look at these facts, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think it is quite important to change your approach and your design approach to suit the current market. You can't be doing the same thing over again and again, because the client, as I told before, the clients are becoming much more educated than before, and their requirements are also quite different now. So we need to be prepared to face those challenges. We have to come up with new ideas, new strategies. We should know about the new materials in the market. We can't be using the same material over the years. Now you get high-tech material in this market, and even if in this market we can get from other countries, you know, there are agencies who brought them. So we need to come up with the new ideas. One of the other factor that we need to consider is the green factor, the green buildings, the energy saving strategies. People are even looking for that now. So we need to be quite updated with that. That's a very important thing.
Okay, thank you very much. As a successful businessman, how is the contribution to the well-being of the society?
I almost involved from the beginning of the Sri Lankan school here in Muscat. I think, as I mentioned before, even the new school building was we started that myself, Kamini and Anslam. And yes, I was in the board almost maybe 10 years, I think, and I was the chairman of the board from 2008 to 2011, 3 years. So I really enjoyed that, serving for the community, and even now I am in the board, Sri Lankan school board member appointed by the ambassador. And then I work for the club, social club, for a long time actually. Maybe you were not there at that time. I was the secretary of the club, and I was the temple, the chairman of the temple committee for almost 4 years, I think it was, yes. So I have been in every community activity. Yeah, and not only that, I do a lot of work in Sri Lanka also. I do a lot of social service, help, people who need helps, financial and whatever way. So I see at the end what you leave is what you do for the people.
And so we are at the end of our interview session. Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable time, sharing with us for a long time during your busy schedule. We really appreciate our team. My name is Nihas, and my colleague Chamara, Chandana and Prabhat. We all are really grateful for your valuable time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and all the best to all of you. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.